So, I'm back on the cigarette burns after kind of a hiatus, so to speak, from YouTube, and we are doing the George A. Romero Dead Saga, all 6 of his movies, starting with, of course, Night of the Living Dead. Now, this is a film, I just want to, get this out of the way right now and say that I absolutely adore this movie. I grew up watching this movie. This is one of the first movies that I can actually remember watching as a kid. Like, my friend Danny and I, all the time, we watched any zombie film that came our way. So Night of the Living Dead is a film that has stayed with me since I was a child. Obviously, by now you all know the plot, because even if you haven't seen it, the other guys have reviewed it before me on this channel, so I won't get into that. It's basically survivors of a zombie apocalypse take refuge in a farmhouse. There are a number of reasons that I absolutely love this film. I still think that under the right circumstances it's frightening. Just the way that Romero has this whole sense of dread throughout the film. You are constantly aware that they are surrounded by zombies, these flesh-eating cannibals that will stop at nothing to just kill them. So you get that sense all through the film, and it just gives a real unease to the picture and doesn't let up for a second. It's constantly tense, and I think that's quite frightening personally. That's the kind of stuff I find frightening, that kind of bleak, anti-Hollywood approach to the story that Romero brings, I think is just fantastic. And I especially like, obviously this was Romero's first one, and I like how he actually had something to say with this, and that applies to the first 4 movies of his Dead Saga, but I love how this is kind of a parable for his thoughts and feelings towards Vietnam. At least that's what the sense I got from it, and that's especially apparent with the ending, and how we as a human race, we as a species become just as bad as the zombies in a way. And that, I read into that as that was kind of his thoughts on Vietnam and stuff, and I always think that having some sort of sub-context, an agenda behind these movies makes them all the more interesting, because it's not just kind of gore for the sake of gore. It has a message, and I always find it interesting watching Romero's films and trying to pick apart what he's trying to say with them. So that was awesome. This film was shot and came out in 1968, which probably means it was made in 1967, and I think it was the first film to feature a black lead character, and that is the character of Ben, who basically encapsulates everything that you want from a survivor in a zombie apocalypse. He's the dude that you would go with in a zombie apocalypse. He's a dude that will keep you alive, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic and very brave of Romero. But to cast a black guy back then, when racial tensions were very much around kind of Hollywood and stuff, I thought that was incredible. That Romero's just an awesome dude for doing that. And then you couple that with the fact that you have a character, Cooper, who is just the dude that you need to get rid of. He's basically bound and determined to get you killed. And the tensions between those two I thought were fantastic, and I kind of read into the racial aspects of that tension in the movie as well, and I thought that was really interesting, and it was brave of the movie in 1968 to do this, and I'm not sure that a Hollywood movie, because this was independent cinema, Romero and his buddies kind of finance this themselves. I'm not sure if this was made in the Hollywood system, would they have been allowed to cast a black guy as the lead character? I don't know, but I'm glad they did, because the dude playing Ben, I think his name's Dwayne Jones, is fantastic in the film. The character's fantastic and he's fantastic, and it's in that respect as well that Night of the Living Dead really did revolutionise cinema. Setting aside all the subtext and context and everything like that, just looking at it on surface value, it is an absolutely fantastic film. It has those classic moments of horror, to me, the opening in the cemetery where Barbara's brother is saying, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." That is up there with the shower scene in Psycho in terms of iconography, for me at least. So this film really does contain some absolutely just classic horror moments that you will take to your grave, no pun intended. You know, they're gonna stick with you for the rest of their life. They're Coming to Get You, Barbara stuck with me since I was about 3 years old. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. It really is a classic in every sense of the word. And the thing is, though, I noticed when I was rewatching it to film this review, it feels a lot more modern than you'd think. Like, the camera work is a lot more fluid than I remember it being, and the way it's lit as well, it's really dark with like splashes of light here and there, and the Dutch tilt camera angles and everything. It's kind of got a comic book quality to it. And having seen the rest of Romero's films, especially Dawn of the Dead, it's clear that he was going for like a comic book kind of image, because he accentuates it in Dawn of the Dead. But in this, you kind of see the start of his kind of comic book approach to horror. And I thought that was really interesting, how the film is it looks and feels a lot more modern than most films that came out around that time, so that's really fantastic. Well, as for a rating, I mean, it really goes without saying that I'm going to give Night of the Living Dead 5 stars. It's one of my favourite all-time films. I absolutely love zombie movies. Zombie movies are probably my favourite genre, to be honest. I just absolutely love them, and Night of the Living Dead is like the granddaddy of them all. George A. Romero really created the zombie genre as we know it with this film, and it's absolutely fantastic. And if for some reason you haven't seen it, go and check it out, because it's an incredible film and I highly recommend it. So obviously 5 stars, and films don't really come much better than this. So that's Night of the Living Dead. I've been CivilianSnowman. Thanks for watching, rating, subscribing and commenting. You're all brilliant. I'm signing out. I'll see you later. Bye.